Residents and businesses are now beginning the slow process of cleaning up the destruction left behind by Hurricane Francis. But in addition to these significant immediate costs, ripple effects will be felt throughout the economy and the markets for months to come. How do you play it? How do you watch out for this and protect yourself? Well, for complete analysis, we're joined now by first Tom Paylor. He is meteorologist and consultant with Weather Predict, and Jason Rose, analyst with U.S. Commodities. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for being here with us the day after this hurricane, which is still very much a storm. We're starting to get a picture of the kind of damage Francis wrought on things like the citrus industry, and I would imagine we'll hear more about things like soybeans and lumber in the days to come. Tom, we'll begin with you. What made this particular hurricane so menacing for things like orange and grapefruit crops, a $9 billion industry in Florida?
Well, Liz, one of the reasons it was so damaging is that the eye was so large, and what that means is you had a very large swath of damage when compared to Charlie. Charlie was a stronger hurricane and certainly impacted the citrus industry as well, but because the eye was so large, you saw hurricane force and tropical storm force winds over a much wider area than is typical with most hurricanes.
Now, before it hit, though, Francis flirted with Category 4 status late last week. That's when you really saw the weather premium get built into what you see on your screen. That would be commodity prices. Everything from orange juice to soybeans jumped. Jason, how crazy has this hurricane made some commodity markets? Because while the prices fell on Friday, today we see what the real damage is. Mike Huckman showed us that it's a real problem now.
Well, absolutely. I think the first thing that, has always been a major dominant factor in all commodities has been the weather factor. I think what's happened with this market is that last week we did see a large, or actually the last 2 weeks, we saw a large premium built into the market, about 25%, not only in the cotton market and the orange juice market. And you're right, I think what's going to happen here the next couple weeks is the real damage. Hurricane Charlie did about $150 million worth of damage, to the orange juice crop, and the worst possible, situation that you could have happen to the cotton market coming into harvest is actually heavy rains.
So even though people kind of, I guess, shorted orange juice futures because they plunged on Friday, if you were long and you stayed long, you really come out winning. What do you expect today for orange juice and soybeans, Jason?
Well, I think from the soybean standpoint is that, what this hurricane really did is it pushed the cold air mass that was coming in from Canada, it actually pushed it up. So actually, the soybean market, may be short-term affected. The orange juice market, I think, has very strong historical support underneath it. And I do think that over the next couple weeks, next couple months, when we get actual real damage assessment, that we will probably test contract highs.
Tom, what does this mean for the rest of the eastern seaboard and even inland a bit when we talk about these heavy torrential rains that are hitting, possibility of early frost? What kind of damage can you forecast for the fall and into the early winter here?
Well, there's not a whole lot of correlations you can draw as to what, early cold implying late cold. So, just because we have seen some cold air come down during August, and there were actually below freezing temperatures in parts of Minnesota during the third week of August, but you can't really draw a whole lot of correlations to the winter from that. Certainly that does get traders' interest a little bit, just because they think, well, if it's cold early, it may be cold later, so that could potentially have some kind of impact on natural gas prices and other commodities in the energy complex.
And we've still got Hurricane Ivan coming, and Tom, when you look at that, do we see problems with maybe the lumber industry and some of the other big commodities?
I think there's certainly impacts from hurricanes on the lumber industry. As far as Ivan goes, its fate really remains to be seen. The forecast models are taking it somewhere over the western tip of Cuba in about 5 days. So what that means is really anywhere along the Gulf of Mexico coast in the United States, even up into the southeast coast. And yep, once again, Florida may have some impacts eventually as we go through time here. But lumber prices certainly can be impacted, and there's a lot of rebuilding that's going to have to be done in Florida from Charlie and also from Francis.
Okay, so Jason, you can't really tell right now where we see Ivan going, but you do know that obviously there might be some problems in the future if we see any other hurricanes, at least to the citrus industry. What do you do? I mean, do funds go long if it looks particularly bad? And when will we see the weather premium begin to build in these prices the closer a hurricane gets to the coast?
Well, I think what we saw the last couple of weeks is that, Hurricane Charlie, was, more unpredictable. Hurricane Francis, I think what we saw, the meteorologists did a fantastic job, predicting, how soon, basically how large the actual hurricane really was going to be, and actually, almost pinpointing it, to the mileage. I think what we're going to see is, the market keep the premium. In the olden days, what we like to do is keep premium built in the market. Unfortunately, with the situation that we have in most of the marketplaces, is that we like to see the damage first, and then build the premium in. But I do think that you saw what Charlie could do, you saw what Francis could do, and the market probably keeps the premium built in because it's more than just a supply market. It's a demand market too. And I think
well, let me just jump in here. We're looking at oranges just destroyed and the citrus crops a mess. When I go to my local supermarket, will the prices be higher?
Well, I think you'll probably start, really in the next couple of weeks.
Really? That soon? Oh, we want to thank you both very much, and I'm sure we'll be speaking to you once again as Ivan gets closer. Tom Paylor is meteorologist and consultant with Weather Predict, and Jason Rose, analyst with U.S. Commodities. Thanks to you both.
Lehman Brothers is slashing some semi-stocks. That continues there on that front. We're coming right back with more information.